Welcome to TMZ Live. So Brian Hickerson, Hayden Panettiere's boyfriend, he went to court 3 days before she died. Actually, he was not present in court. He was a no-show, as was his lawyer. They were trying to get his domestic violence conviction expunged. There was a domestic violence conviction for beating up Hayden Panettiere. And he didn't show, but the prosecutor did. And the prosecutor had some choice words about Brian Hickerson.
Right, about Brian Hickerson's condition and whether or not he was using again. And the prime example that the prosecutor laid out involved an interview that he did with us. Back in May, Charlie Neff spoke to Brian. And I remember looking at the interview and thinking, and I didn't, at the time, I was like, I don't know Brian Hickerson well enough to tell if I'm judging this right, but he did seem off.
He seemed off.
Seemed very off.
He seemed manic.
And that is exactly how prosecutors described him, said that they don't know what it was he was using, but...
They said he was high.
He was high.
They said he was absolutely high, and the DA did not mince words, and it was enough for the judge to deny the petition to expunge his record. And that, again, 3 days before Hayden died.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole thing about him wanting to clear his records was, you know, his attorney is trying to say, like, look, he's changed himself, he's sober now. But then when you look at an interview that just happened 3 months ago, it doesn't appear that way. And also, he had an arrest that happened not that long ago as well, where he was drunk and disorderly. So they're trying to put together all these pieces about, should we grant this man, you know,
the expungement.
And they're looking back and saying it doesn't really seem like
they didn't have to look back that far. They only looked back 3 months. And again, it's really telling because, look, Hayden Panettiere, and she talks about this openly, she had an opioid addiction. She was in a rehab facility for 8 months involving this opioid addiction back in 2017. So this is something she struggled with. And if Brian was using again, was doing something again, which apparently the DA believes based on Charlie's interview, then the question is, was Hayden doing it as well?
Right.
And they were together in an apartment in South Carolina with Narcan.
With Narcan. And so when you look at the fact that prosecutors were concerned that he was using, as they put it, he was high, and now you have him 3 days after that hearing in South Carolina with Hayden, with Narcan. The Narcan means somebody's using, right? You don't walk around with Narcan unless you're using some sort of drug where you're concerned there's going to be an overdose.
Now, you can make the argument maybe there was a prescription drug. Well, the reality is prescription drugs can also kill. Matthew Perry had a prescription for ketamine.
Right.
And so we don't know what it is. There's a toxicology right now, and it usually takes at least a month, so we don't know what was in Hayden's system. We will presumably find that out. Brian suggested that it might be her meds. We don't know.
Yeah, and the reason why you say that is because in the heavily redacted report that we obtained, it said that he gave a bag of prescriptions that she had been taking at the time to officers that were there at the scene.
And meanwhile, Hayden's mother is speaking out.
Yeah, Leslie Vogel, who's had plenty of issues with Brian Hickerson, and she's spoken about that. But in a new interview, she also talks about the fact that she doesn't like the way she's being framed, that way some people think she is reacting to Hayden's death. In fact, she doesn't say Gayle King's name here, but basically she's calling out the people who are calling her out for her reaction to her own daughter's death.
How are you doing? It's a process, and I think it will probably hit me later on. I would say to the haters out there, you don't have a right to tell me how I mourn the loss of my second child.
What was that moment like for you?
I was numb. I was just numb. I just couldn't feel anything. I still am not grasping this is real.
So that was her on Good Morning America. What Gayle King had said last week after Leslie's initial statement, she said, while she was on set, she said, you know what, guys, I read this statement, and all I can think is, thanks a lot, Mom. Like, you know, that's what Hayden's reaction would be, that, again, Leslie is talking about her failures.
Well, they were estranged.
Yeah.
They were estranged, I believe, since she was like 17.
Yeah.
Hayden was 17.
That's when they originally had like a fallout. And look, it was really touch and go. Leslie claims that the fallout really was largely due to Brian coming into the picture about, 8-ish years ago. But they had already been having issues before then. And
well, Hayden was 17. That was 19 years before she died.
Right. But, you know, Leslie's pointing the finger at Brian. Hayden, in her book, said that, you know, it didn't have to do with him. She didn't even bring that up at all. She basically said, my mom was never a mom to me. She was a cold woman and was only my business manager.
But that said, she is right when she says that people mourn differently.
Yeah.
And you can't, like, it really is, you just can't judge somebody by whether they sob, whether it's a parent. People do it in all sorts of ways.
Hi, it's Beanie B from Jacksonville, Florida, Duval. I truly believe that it is very sad what is going on, and it's a place to be, you know, sad for the mom, but you can't deny the history, and you can't deny that she was not a good mom. She put her child in the limelight at 11 months, you know, and she's been in that. She never really had a choice in the first place, and Hayden even said, like, you know, I tried to just change that to no longer being, you know, my manager. I wanted her to be my mom. And she denied that request. She did not want that. And so it's easy for her to be like, oh, people are trying to be haters, but nobody want to hate on you. People are just seeing it for what it is. And you were not there for your child. You were not a mother. And people can see it for what it is and say the same thing for her boyfriend, that there's a possibility that he had a part in what she unfortunately went through. So two things can be true at once, you know, a mom that is mourning, but also a mom that failed.
Meghan Markle's return to Hollywood is going to be a little delayed, at the very least.
If she's returning.
If she's returning. Certainly, it seems like she has an interest in returning, because there was a report last week that she was being considered for a role on the Netflix show The Gentleman. It's a Guy Ritchie show. Actually, a really good show. You should check it out.
I've not watched it.
I know you haven't. Anyway, Meghan Markle was going to go up for a role on that show. That report came out on Friday. Saturday, then the next report was they're no longer considering her. Now, it's unclear whether the gentleman, the cast, whether the director withdrew their request to have her audition or if she stepped out. But either way, it is not happening. And the reason they said it's not happening is backlash. As soon as it came out, and remember, this is a very popular show in the UK, and we know that Meghan Markle isn't necessarily the most popular in the UK, even though she and Harry are moving back probably this week. But the response that the producers of the show got online was not pleasant.
This does not make sense. It doesn't make sense because, of course, she is going to get backlash when you find out that she's doing the show, because that's just what goes on with Meghan Markle. There are a lot of people who don't like her. There are people who like her.
They had to know that the second they started talking.
They knew that there would be backlash. So the idea that they would pull the plug 24 hours after it gets leaked or announced doesn't make sense to me, because of course they would know that. And in a way, you know, it's the old adage, any publicity is good publicity. That it would
Unless they wanted to, like, sort of surprise the fans with her being involved.
Yeah, but then why pull the plug? If you lose the surprise, I get it, but you still have the element of Meghan Markle's on your show now.
To me, it doesn't seem like that big of a window of time. Like, wouldn't you give it at least a couple days and see, like, over time?
That's why I'm not buying
this.
It
goes. And also, it's great publicity for the show.
Less than 24 hours.
By the way, as I said, it's a really good show, but I think a lot of people are unaware of it.
So the only
and now you attach Meghan to it. Now you get.
The only thing that makes sense is they knew they were going to pull the plug all along, but there's more eyeballs now on the show because people are talking about it.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, it's like, you go on social media, exactly who doesn't get trashed on social media? Do we know anybody?
That's true. Our chat is saying, though, they think she just needs to take a step back, just for a little bit.
Well, she has already taken a step
back. They think
back.
she's trying really hard to stay relevant, and it's causing more harm than good. That if she just takes a little bit longer of a break and then comes back, maybe things will be okay.
How much longer of a break do they want her to take?
She does.
Like at some point, she's going to be liked when she comes back?
She's got a Netflix show, or had a Netflix show, 2 seasons of, the
Making the
lifestyle.
Jam.
Yeah. So she hasn't gone away, but it's not like when they were in England before, where she was just plastered. It's like there's something here that does not make sense. Of course this was going to happen. So why would they pull the plug? It's like, we had no idea. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Lindsay, Phoenix, Arizona. Is anyone surprised that they withdrew this offer? I'm not surprised one bit. I mean, the backlash was out of control. People went berserk. Avid fans of this show were not only threatening to boycott the show completely, but they were threatening to boycott Netflix entirely. And the public has made it clear.
That wasn't going to happen, Lindsay. You know that.
Could you be more British?
England. But the public have made it clear that they don't like Meghan Markle. They don't resonate with her. I mean, all her shows flopped. Netflix dropped her. Spotify dropped her.
They didn't do great.
They have rooms in Netflix.
Suits.
They have rooms in Netflix filled with her unsold as ever inventory that they can't even give away for free. So are we surprised?
No, I don't think so. We get it. Okay, cheerio.
Coming up.
There are kids who are being set back in 7th grade so they can be bigger and stronger and participate in sports and have a better shot at becoming a college athlete on a scholarship.
Intentionally holding themselves back.
Not for academic reasons. It blew my mind.
Be right back.
So last week, I'm getting my hair cut, and my barber is telling me about...
Nice job, by the way.
Thank you. My barber's telling me about his son who's in 7th grade.
Yeah.
And that there's a whole issue at his school because there are kids who are being set back in 7th grade so they can be bigger and stronger and participate in sports and have a better shot at becoming a college athlete on a scholarship.
Intentionally holding themselves back.
Not for academic reasons, because they'll be star players if they're held back.
Got a better chance of being better at whatever sport you're playing.
It blew my mind.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
Well, it is happening a lot. In fact, we told you last week, Tom Brady, his son, Jack, has graduated high school, but is taking a post-prep it's like a grad program, but basically...
It's like a gap year almost.
He's going to be playing, it's a gap year, but he's going to be learning and getting more training in basketball.
So this is
clearly he wants to get into a very good school.
This is a thing now of being held back so that you are better able to become a sports star in college.
It seems like a big gamble because you are spending more money for another year of school. You're spending more money on this training. And what if your kid doesn't make it to whatever level it is you're hoping he makes it to? So, or she. Joining us right now, someone who knows about this because he is actually one of his sons was held back and is now flourishing in his sport. And he's got another kid who's worrying about it. Tamar Slay, former NBA player, and also runs the Slay Basketball Academy. Tamar, welcome to TMZ Live.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Just listening to you guys talk about it, yes, you do have that, right? You do have the parents who are reclassing their athlete only for the reasons of because they'll be bigger, faster, stronger. I think that's a mistake. I think you got to factor in other things such as academics, such as maturity, such as, they may have been in a bad situation. My son was COVID year, right? And he's a March baby. So he was going against kids that were already probably 6 or 7 months older, and then plus the reclass kids. So it was a disadvantage for him.
But Tamar, let me ask you something, because I hear you on the COVID thing. I get it. But correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing is this is now a strategic thing where parents are not worried about maturity or whether the kid did well in 7th grade. They're doing it specifically so the kid can perform better and have a better shot at getting into a great college, playing basketball, and setting them up for the NBA.
100%. I mean, even with the NIL, you got kids that are getting, $1 million+ as a freshman. So, I've had parents come up to me like, I'm rethinking this academic thing. I'm more towards getting my kid in the best basketball or football position so that he can maximize his earnings in college, not even thinking about the professional side of it. So it's becoming, even from when I did it a few years ago, it's definitely becoming more strategic on the just strictly basketball side. I mean, a lot of kids, a lot of parents are saying they're looking for schools where they only have to go to school for about 2 hours and the rest of the day is focused on building their skill. So, depends on what side of the fence you're on. It makes sense for some, for others, it doesn't. For me, as I told you guys, it was more so, it was a factor in a lot of different things when we made our decision.
So, Tamar, you and your family decided to hold back your son Bryce. Was it in 7th or 8th grade?
We did it in 8th grade, right before high school.
All right. So in 8th grade, he is now playing basketball at Marshall. So it's worked out for him. Did he get a scholarship to go to Marshall?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So it's definitely, so you could say it's paid off already for him, presuming he might not have been able to get that scholarship without that being held back that year. But you have another son now who's coming up. And what is your decision? I would assume you would do the same exact thing with him, right?
Yes, I would assume that, but it's different. It's different with him. Like he's a different level basketball player. We do feel Bryce would have been ready if we didn't reclass him to go and earn a scholarship because he already had offers to to Wake Forest and James Madison as a junior. So we're factoring in all that. We got a little experience under our belt now, so we're factoring all that in. He doesn't necessarily want to reclass. For us, when Bryce did reclass, he had 5 other of his peers that reclassed with him. So it wasn't, some kids, if you stay at the same school and reclass,
you almost have to do it now because there's, if you're a really top, blue chip athlete, everyone is doing this. So if you don't, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, that is exactly right. Because if you're not reclassing and you're just like kind of mid, you're not going to get the rankings. You're not going to get the offers that you need because you're playing against a kid that's a year older than you. So it's really competitive, right? And then you really have to, do your research and put a lot of thought into making this decision. If a kid, is, you don't do it if you're not already a high-level basketball player. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, but here's the thing, that then all of a sudden somebody sees a pot of gold and they may not be high level, but the parents think that the kid can do it. My problem with it, and at this point it almost sounds corny, but I mean it. It's like it makes a joke out of school. That it is just a joke that, oh yeah, I'll sit through 7th grade a second time and everybody in the class knows it. And I don't give a crap about really learning here. I'm here for basketball in 7th grade. And so every building block you have is fake because all you care about is the brass ring of getting into school and playing basketball. And everybody sees that. And it just feels like it makes school a joke.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with that. I think that if parents, especially that early, is making them a decision strictly off what they project or predict their kid is going to be later on, I think it's a mistake. I think you do have to, wait till they're about to go into high school. We did go from public to private school, so the level of education did go up, right? As far as the standards of the academics at the private school we sent our son to. So it wasn't where he was repeating, learning the same things over. We changed schools completely. So again, if you're just making a quick decision and you're staying at that same school, I agree with you, Harvey. I think that's a mistake. But if you put a lot of thought into it and really weigh out your options, the pros and cons of it, it could be very beneficial for you.
Hey, Tamar, you have we see behind you there, you run the Slay Basketball Academy. I would imagine that parents, before they make these decisions, spend, I would hope, quite a bit of time consulting with coaches, with trainers, to really figure out whether their kid has what it takes. Do you have to have those have you had those conversations with parents? And I would imagine that for some of them, it's difficult to hear that your kid just isn't that level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do have, this is more than basketball for us. So, we have a family atmosphere here at Slay. So I got an open door policy. So I'll probably get parents once a month that's coming in asking me that question. And I'll tell them the same thing I'm telling you. I think it's an individual based decision, right? You just don't go with the trend because, someone else did it. You have to weigh out a lot of things. And what kind of sparked my interest in reclassing was, Jonathan Goodwin, who played 15 years in the NFL. His son is now the star wide receiver at Michigan. And he did it. And the thing that jumped out to me, and he said, I get an extra year in the house with my kid, right? So that factored in my decision.
Yeah, but okay. Now you're playing lawyer there. Okay, we get you. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. This was really interesting.
That's where it is now.
Well, thanks for having me, guys, and it was a pleasure. Meeting you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tamar.
Coming up.
You know the story about McKenna West. She is the surrogate who carried a baby for a couple. McKenna actually fled to Texas to give birth because the child had a significant heart defect. The parents wanted to terminate the pregnancy at 20 weeks. So now the parents are saying McKenna is asking for child support.
Be right back. TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Donnell Rawlings took TMZ DC on a city tour.
You know what the irony of this is? A black man takes a white person to the White House.
It's TMZ.
You know the story about McKenna West. She is the surrogate who carried a baby for a couple in Alaska. And McKenna actually fled to Texas to give birth because the child had a significant heart defect. The parents wanted to terminate the pregnancy at 20 weeks. She went to Texas where that provision would not be enforced. That was in the surrogacy contract. So now the parents are saying, because there's still a custody fight going on, that right now McKenna can't see the child. The child's been born, but the parents say McKenna is asking for child support.
Right. That McKenna, while they're trying to sort this all out, that McKenna, what they're claiming, the couple, is that McKenna asked for child support and also for them to pay her attorney's fees while this whole battle is going on. Now, McKenna says they've got that all wrong, that they are basing that on a first draft of a filing that she and her attorney were going to place, but she says they never actually filed that.
But then it raises the question, why was it even in the first draft? Because she's not entitled to child support. What she's entitled to under the contract is $60,000. By definition, the child under the contract would go to the biological parents, and there'd be no reason to give McKenna child support because she wouldn't have custody of the child, although McKenna is now saying, I should have custody. But if she should have custody, why would the parents pay her child support?
Yeah, this whole back and forth is getting very complicated, especially, McKenna is referring to the child as Gabriel. The intended biological parents are referring to the child as Rumi. So definitely two different sides, as McKenna is just wanting to make sure that they get life-saving care for the child, which the new parents are also saying that that's exactly what they want as well, but they want to make sure that they have custody of their kid.
And there's a rub here because the child is still in Texas, needs at least 3 surgeries to correct the heart defect, and they're serious surgeries. Parents want to bring the child back to California to get that done. The Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, is saying, nope, you're going to stay here. And right now, the parents have to stay in Texas. So everything is very much
and
in
they're
limbo.
calling it super unconstitutional that Ken Paxton is doing this and stepping in for something that they believe they should have full
This
say
is going to
in.
end up in federal court.
Right.
Yeah.
And this child is going to be heavily politicized as this battle goes on, because it's not just a legal battle between the biological parents and McKenna anymore.
It's so political now.
Yes. It is going to be, this child is now a political hot
It's
potato.
all about abortion. It's all about abortion right now.
Hey, this is George from Atlanta. And as complicated as this case is, I think it needs to be tested. And the surrogate couple is upset that the baby was born when they didn't want it. And I can understand McKenna's connection to that unborn child. I can see why she moved. I can see how that's morally and businessly unethical in their contract. But I think the parents have faced so much backlash for their decisions in this that they're throwing this out about McKenna to make themselves look better in PR. I've seen no signs of the child support request.
Well, except McKenna's own lawyer apparently is admitting that it was in the first draft.
Yeah.
So then the question is why?
Why did that first draft get sent to the biological parents?
I don't know. The other thing, look, the parents did want to terminate the pregnancy, but that doesn't mean once the child is born
that they don't
that
have
they're
a right
going to abandon the child. Those are two very different things.
Coming up.
Well, the most talked about woman in D.C., Natalie Harp, was front and center again over the weekend, although she was seen with other people other than President Trump, although he was there.
I think what they're trying to show is there's nothing to hide. We're not going to.
They're not going to change anything.
Be right back.
Well, the most talked about woman in D.C., Natalie Harp, was front and center again over the weekend, although she was seen with other people other than President Trump, although he was there.
This was
in this
the
box, but-
Indy race on Sunday, where 100,000 people showed up to watch.
Right, but Natalie was seen interacting more with Eric Trump and at a point talking to Melania as well. But she's right there, again, sort of in President Trump's hip pocket.
I think what they're trying to show is there's nothing to hide. We're not going to.
They're not going to change
anything.
anything.
But it's interesting because there's been this debate since John Ossoff actually made his comment a week ago on whether there's something untoward about suggesting this and inserting a woman into a political debate like this. So Bernie Moreno had
Senator
an opinion
from Ohio.
about this. He's been vocal lately on various things.
On lots of things.
But had an opinion about this and was more than happy to share it with Jacob.
That's super misogynistic. I mean, the reality is she's a very talented person. She's very smart at what she does. She helps the president make sure he's communicating. And the fact that if it was a guy, nobody would say that.
You think it's misogynistic, just people invoking her, saying...
Well, meaning the implications are that there's something going on because she's a woman. And obviously that she's pretty and that type of thing. When the reality is she's very talented. She's very, very smart. I happen to know her very well. She's also obviously a very kind person. She went through bone cancer in her 20s. I mean, look, at the end of the day, like I've always said, let's just keep the personal issues out.
Yeah.
Let's have the arguments around policy.
So, the thing that's interesting about this is I don't think, look, there are people who find it really weird that she was writing these letters to him the way she did, that it's this adoration that's just unbridled.
That's the part that...
But on the other side of it is there's nothing illegal or necessarily wrong. I mean, you look at a cabinet meeting and the guys around the table, who are all mostly guys, kind of say the same thing about Donald Trump. It's really more about Trump choosing to be around her to get that affirmation than it is about her.
I want to say I see a slight difference in the cabinet meeting.
What?
Because that's done out in the open for cameras. That's done out in the open.
Well, she's not going to write a letter and then publish it.
I'm not saying she should, but I'm saying now that the letters have leaked, that's the part where it feels like, and even if it was, pardon me, Senator Moreno, but even if it was a guy, so let's say Natalie was Ned, everyone would read Ned's letters and still think, this is weird to write to your boss.
Right, but
that's the part that's strange. They're not weird in that.
Do you know what? It's weirder to me that people in the cabinet bootlick more in public,
But they do
more
it-
than her writing a letter.
That's not
it's
weird to
weirder
me because that's what
we've never seen.
That's what
that.
Trump. I know we've never seen it. There's all of this we've never seen.
Well, Biden didn't have cabinet
But
meetings
Trump-
too, so for whatever that's worth.
I just don't see a difference
He didn't
between.
televise them.
I don't
Yeah.
see a real difference between the cabinet members and Natalie.
No, I get it. Right. And those guys are more powerful. They're much more powerful than her. I mean, I don't know. You know what the implication was when John Ossoff said what he originally said. We all know. You can pretend like you don't know what he meant, but let's be honest. He was implying something sexual was going on here, and I don't know why. Who cares? I don't get it. I don't understand any of this.
Well, what he said.
We have no idea what the communication. I have no idea who
Can I tell
Biden
you-
talked to or who President Obama talked to.
Can I tell you what's weird to me?
Yeah.
It's not even the letter so much because, again, I think those letters are what Trump likes and everybody
Yeah,
knows
sure,
it.
of
And in
course.
various
You know he
ways.
likes
But that's
that.
the embarrassing
Yeah.
part.
Well,
That's the embarrassing part is that someone has to write a letter or feels like they need to write letters like that to their boss in order to stay.
It's called getting ahead.
Employed.
I mean, it's called getting ahead, knowing who your boss is.
But why do we think she doesn't feel it? Maybe she feels like that.
But wait a minute. I think the bigger thing than the letters, I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority here. Bigger than the letters is him choosing to bring her on that secret airplane from Turkey and
I
leaving
think
Marco
you're right,
Rubio on the decoy plane.
I think you're
That's-
looking into that too much.
What do you
What do you mean looking
I
into?
think you're looking.
That's not looking into.
You're
That's
look-
just right on the surface. That's not looking into.
Why is it
deeply.
choosing one or the other? First of all, it was a decoy. If Marco
He's
Rubio's
the
missing there too.
Secretary of State.
No, I get.
And
Nobody, Harvey, you are so wrong about that. Nobody thought that plane was going to get blown up. It was out of an abundance of caution, like
And what was the caution
to the 10th
about?
degree.
The
Because
caution
there was
was-
a real threat. Nobody thought Air
A
Force
real-
One was
by the
getting.
way-
You can't say there was a
There was
real
a
threat.
legitimate threat made, like somebody
Right.
saying, "I'm going to do something."
So they
It's
believed it could happen.
No, absolutely not.
Stop.
But then why would they take him
Absolutely
off the
not.
plane?
Absolutely
They
not.
Why
took
would
him-
they take him off
They
the plane?
never
Mike?
thought.
Why would they
never
secretly
thought
take
that
him off
plane
the
was going to
plane?
get
They-
blown
why
up.
would
They
they
would never let that
secretly
happen.
take him off
They
the
took
plane?
him
An
off
abundance of caution.
They took him off the Qatari
But you
jet.
can't say
They
both.
put him on Air
Yeah.
Force One,
Right.
and then they put him in a catering truck.
Yeah.
And
How
they
is she
said
saying
it
the
was a
same?
real threat.
No, it's a real threat.
Hold on, of a surface-to-air missile in the vicinity of the airport.
Okay, so what's a real threat? Okay, so if it's like 0.00001, is that a real threat? It's a legitimate threat. It's coming from a
Well, they
state.
always
enough.
have that.
But I'm-
but
yeah, it's
Air Force
enough
One
to
can
take-
usually
You guys
handle
are making it seem
It's
like it
enough
was
to
a coin
secretly-
toss that Air Force One was going to get
Babcock.
blown out of the sky.
I'm not
You're
saying
so
it was a
wrong.
coin toss, but
You're
you
so
can't-
wrong about
No,
that.
I'm not
They
saying it was a
were
coin toss.
worried
I don't
about
think
that.
they were. I don't
Mike,
think they were.
all I'm saying
They-
is how can you, in the same breath, say it was serious enough to secretly remove the
Right.
president and put him on another
Right.
plane without anybody knowing,
Yeah.
and then also say there wasn't any real threat to the
No,
plane?
it's a legitimate threat. I
They
will admit
said
that.
it was a real threat.
I
They
think
said it was a real threat.
I think we can't agree. I think we're not able to agree on
think
how
that- okay,
likely
that's clear.
that was.
That's very clear.
Right.
Yeah, this is Dami Hilfiger coming to you live out of Phoenix. In my opinion, Bernie Moreno is kind of out of his mind if he thinks people believe he, of all senators, cares about misogyny. The same senator that would let a House rep from his own state run for re-election, that his own daughter has serious abuse allegations all out about, is kind of insane. We all saw him curse Fauci out on the Senate floor for having a soccer mom arrested at a sports event. But this was days before he even spoke of the allegations against a member of his own party actively campaigning for re-election, again, from his own daughter. So the hypocrisy is crazy. To me, it looks like team politics. And to even sit here and act like any of this behavior is normal when it comes to an aide dealing with the president, it's a little weird to me.
For the record, Bernie Moreno was solidly against Max Miller running for re-election.
Coming up.
I learned something I never ever knew about music today.
And you got shamed for it.
And I got shamed for it, and people in the office have been singing this song. They're very excited about the guests that we had on the TMZ After Dark tour this weekend. You know the song Tonight, right?
Be right back.
I learned something I never ever knew about music today.
And you got shamed for it.
And I got shamed for it, and people in the office have been singing this song. They're very excited about the guests that we had on the TMZ After Dark tour this weekend. You know the song Tonight, right?
I do now.
By the way, I took all the heat for this, and you acted like
Well, no,
you sat back
because
quietly.
in the morning meeting, I heard it.
You're a guy who listens to the radio. This was on the radio
I
like
think
every
I've heard
day.
this. I actually do think I've heard this song.
You've 100% heard it.
It was
No
it
doubt.
was a big hit. It
I'm
really
not
was.
saying it wasn't.
It
I'm
was
just
a big
saying I
hit.
didn't know it.
65 million
But
views.
anyway,
They have a lot of big hits, by the way. They're just like
I'm
one of
with you.
those boy bands that's like so nostalgic, early 2000s vibe.
So let's talk about what happened on
Yes.
the TMZ After Dark tour.
They hosted our After Dark bus, and again, I always tell you guys this, that every week I freak out over how good the host was, but every week it just like surpasses my expectations. He was incredible.
Did they sing their big hit?
Oh yeah, actually we did a bit where he walks on and like we pretend like he's a trespasser, but he's not, and then he takes off his hat and then he's like starts singing his song, and then, and everyone's like, and he starts bopping to his song, Tonight. So he sang that live. He also debuted his new song.
But that's amazing. So he got on stage at
Beaches Tropicana.
At Beaches.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was the coolest moment of the night because we've had people go on that stage before, but there was already an event going on, so there was like hundreds of people there, and we interrupt this DJ set, and they happily let us interrupt because they're like, "Oh, the singer of Tonight is here and wants to sing it live here," and so everybody starts singing along, and I got chills. I was like, if Harvey could see what he created, if you could see what you created that night.
It's really cool.
No, I'm telling you.
No, honestly, I think it's really cool. Just
What
the idea
in the
that they
Natalie
could.
Harp is going on. What?
Netta Harp.
Do me a favor, just write me a letter about it, okay?
Shout out to DJ Blue.
Okay, every weekend we put polls up at the website. We want to see how you feel about things that happened last week. We did it this weekend. Here are the results.
All right. Hayden and Brian having Narcan, just a smart precaution or a sign of substance abuse?
That.
Come on.
Yeah, for sure. Natalie Harp's devotion to Trump.
Single white female vibes?
Single white female vibes or just great employee.
We might have loaded that one up a little bit.
You sure did.
Prince Harry and Meghan's return to UK, definitely temporary, or it's home, he'll never leave?
I think it's temporary, but they're going to say the other. It's close. It's close.
Interesting.
Okay, Trump will pardon Michael Cohen. No way or duh. Duh is the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on what we heard on that podcast. Diddy's alleged involvement in Tupac murder. I'm buying it, or Keefe D lied.
I don't know what they're going to say here.
I think they're going to go, I'm buying it.
I don't know.
They want to.
Wow.
Zero evidence
Okay,
for that.
next. Lisa Rinna's Lindsay Clancy ex-husband theory.
Where
insanity, which is insanity. It is insanity that he did it. Or I agree. Please say insanity.
Yeah.
Oh, too many people said I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, two more.
Princess Diana crash. Streaming now on Hulu, the celebrity crime scene episode. Was it an accident or foul play?
I'm interested in this. How about that? Wow.
Seems like some people have already watched.
And finally, Kendall Jenner and Jacob Elordi in a year. Engaged or single and mingling? It's going to be the latter.
Definitely single and mingling.
Yeah. People just don't believe in love.
And also, well, Kendall has an MO.
I don't know. I got a feeling.
Coming up.
I think Sydney Sweeney is ready to enter Tom Cruise territory.
Totally.
She is not going to need a stunt person on any of her movies. We've seen what Tom Cruise has done. Well, Sydney...
She did what he did.
Wing walking.
This is crazy. Now watch this. The plane actually goes upside down.
Be right back.
I think Sydney Sweeney is ready to enter Tom Cruise territory.
Totally.
She is not going to need a stunt person on any of her movies. We've seen what Tom Cruise has done. Well, Sydney...
She did what he did.
Yes, actually, he did this in the Last Mission movie, I think.
Yep.
And she decided she wanted to give it a shot. Wing walking.
This is crazy.
This is not for a film, by the way.
For fun.
Here is Sydney's attempt at it. It's not an attempt, she did it.
Now watch this. The plane actually goes upside down with her on it. This is just nuts. This is nuts. And Scooter, by the way, Scooter was doing it.
Did Scooter do it also?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see him in the plane. Like
there's
another plane. If you can see him, like he's in front of her plane. So Sydney's got Scooter doing all types of activities. We've seen them like bungee jumping. Now they're wing walking.
I just hope he actually wants to do these things.
I was thinking
I genuinely hope so too, because if not, boy, oh boy, yeah.
What do you call that? Is such a thing as boyfriend abuse? Is that like
at this point
forcing him to to do
he's
things
old
he
and he's
doesn't wanna
dating a
do.
hot blonde Sydney Sweeney. He's got to
He's
do
not
whatever
old.
she.
My recon is he actually likes doing this and has done stuff like this.
Before, why didn't we ever see it before Sydney?
I don't know about the airplane, but bungee jumping for sure.
Okay.
Well, that's something.
I guess.
That's something.
I
All right.
guess. Look at that. That's so cool.
This is a level above bungee jumping.
I did like what they were at the camp and they went jet skiing, and I did like that Sydney was driving and Scooter was
fell off,
behind,
and he fell off.
she whipped him off so good. She did. Look how good she whips him off. She got a good little whipper, and look, there he is. He pops up.
They're having quite a summer.
Yep.
Yeah, good for them.
Hi, my name is Ebony from Los Angeles, and I love this for Sydney. I think that this is great, a little devil seeking, a little thrill seeking. It's kind of fun. I feel like these are things that people like kind of wish they could do, and she definitely has.
Here's the thing. I hear you. I never wish I could do that. I never want to do that.
Scooter, if you're okay, blink twice.
Yeah, right. What else do you guys want to talk about?
Hi, Jay Ellison here from Los Angeles, commenting on Bernie Moreno saying that criticism of Natalie Harp is misogynistic. Well, that's just your typical Republican cover distraction from what's really going on, and that's the problem with Natalie Harp. We would have the same concern over any close personal aide leaving messages to the president in their private areas, whether male or female. Now,
but can I stop you? Let me ask you a question. I want to ask you a question.
Harp did this all while not having proper security clearance.
Do you have, well, I mean, she didn't need security clearance to leave him a letter, but do you have more of a problem with Natalie Harp, who is basically, follows the president around and has his ear? Do you have more of a problem with her writing letters or members of the cabinet in public
sucking up to him
for the media to hear? Which do you have a bigger problem with?
I have a problem with the senator criticizing this as being misogynistic when we see what's coming from this president.
Okay. Not an answer,
not an answer, but the answer that you gave us.
Fair. One more.
Hi, my name is Meredith Constant. I'm from Denver, and I want to comment on the Meghan Markle having her role pulled in Guy Ritchie's show. It is absolute nonsense. This is coming from one Substack of a former Vanity Fair reporter. And not to mention, when has it ever been a bad thing that a TV show is getting buzz? I mean, controversy. Oh no, people might tune in.
I totally agree with you.
Something doesn't add up about it.
I so agree with you. Well said.
Coming up.
Let the World Humanoid Robot Games begin.
Yes, they have, and already a very shocking result. If you are in the group that is terrified of the robot takeover,
all of a sudden, they can move faster than us.
Be right back.
Let the World Humanoid Robot Games begin.
Yes, they have, and already a very shocking result. If you are in the group that is terrified of the robot takeover, one of them has beaten Usain Bolt's record in the 100-meter dash, which was 9:58, I believe, which is an insane speed.
Do you know what scares me about this? It's that these are
the only good thing about this, by the way. Did you see at the end?
Yeah,
it doesn't know how to stop yet.
Right, it fell.
And it smashed into pieces.
They ended up bringing a stretcher.
Right,
But
take it out.
what scares me about this is you always think of these robots as these kind of ambling, pulling vacuum cleaners.
No, now they're flexible.
So now all of a sudden, they can move faster than us. And that's starting to open that door, which is
when the takeover
does happen.
Can't even outrun it.
I'm serious that you can't outrun. We warned you.